you see yourself getting married again?
It's possible. I'm on the fence of it being something that is state regulated, though.
Why?
Because the state has no business in my love life. No, now other people will say, "Oh, well, you know, the only thing that I have issue with is that, let's say I was in a terrible accident, right, or she was in a terrible accident. Because we're not married, I wouldn't be allowed certain access. I wouldn't be able to see them because I'm not family."
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So if something really morbid or dangerous happened, that would be a problem. But as far as like finances, property, things like that, all that can be settled with various systems that do not involve the state.
I feel you, right? But I did have a conversation with a divorce lawyer who seems to have a different argument about, you know, where the value comes in with bringing in the state. But you're stating that the state entering your love life brings you no value other than if something morbid happened.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do ladies feel like when you say this to them?
It depends on how immersed they are in their own social conditioning.
Yeah.
Right. Because, I mean, let's face it, like at the age of like 4, I mean, like my daughter started seeing Disney movies at,
I didn't realize you had a daughter. You have a daughter?
Yeah, I've got a 13-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This is from your marriage.
From my only marriage. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. They're great kids. Awesome kids. But they started watching Disney shit when, you know, they're very, very young.
Yeah.
So that's where those sort of things start creeping in. There's also, you know, you can check this like mimetics. You familiar with mimetics? Not memes of like cats and stuff like that. They derive that from this term mimetics, and it's the traverse of information through culture through indirect means. So, for example, I could ask my son at like the age of 6, to do the twist, and he would do Chubby Checkers, the twist, but exactly, he's never seen it on video. He's never heard the song. He doesn't know who Chubby Checker is, but he performed it perfectly. That's an example of mimetics.
So what do you think he got it from?
Mimetics. It's a traverse of information through culture in very, very subtle ways.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, Marshall McLuhan was really big on that. You should check it out. It's pretty mind-bending stuff. But that information gets in very early and very subtly. So, you know, when I'm talking to women who are like, I want to get married, I'm like, are you sure those desires are your desires? Right? Are you sure? Because you've been hearing that stuff since you were a little girl.
How does that work out for you when you have that conversation?
I would say 90% of the time, they're just like, this is what I want, and this is what I want, and that's just what I want. And then 10% of the time, you know, and then like maybe like 5% of the time, it's like I can like feel like the gears turning. Yeah, the gears turning. Like why do I want this? Or it's like, you know, you've got a running motor or something like that. You like drop like a bolt in it and just like, and so it's like messing with stuff. And then another 5% are like, stop. And they're like, I don't know. Are those my real desires? Yeah. Because how can I parse that away? Like, let me figure this out. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's because, I don't know, I think women largely have a problem when it comes to self-reflection and like objectivity and things like that, because it counteracts feelings, right? And imagination and fantasy and all that stuff. It's like, all that's fun stuff. You know what I mean? And you got society telling you like, oh, this is accessible and it's all for you, and you know, you can have it all. You know? And so starting from a very young age, you can marry the prince who will whisk you away from the world of suffering. Yeah, you know, despair. Right. And you could just kick your feet up in like nice, beautiful gowns and eat bonbons all day long, and then go on a pony ride. You know, it's possible. Those men are real. Yeah. Right. And so that gets like swathed through their minds as growing up. Yeah. You know, along with a narrative that says like you can do no wrong. Yeah. Right. That you're above reproach. You cannot criticize. You cannot analyze. You cannot break down. Right. And so it's a rare woman who has that capacity to like sit back and be like, okay, let's dig into this. Yeah, let's parse this out. And I've noticed it with older women my own age. Yeah. Right. My ex-wife, she's like she can do that.
Yeah, right? But after you've already been married, it's easy to do
and
that.
Gone through life and things like that. And but try this with like a 20-something,
oh yeah,
30-something.
It's a whole problem. But do you feel as though like it's more of a difficult argument with women than it is with men?
A difficult
like, in terms of like
you
your point of view.
Yeah.
Right? Is a difficult argument with 90% of the women, like you said.
Oh, right. You mean like having the fantasy?
No.
Right. The social conditioning. Like, are you asking, do men have the same difficulty dealing with challenging their social conditioning
when it comes to marriage?
I think yes, but it's in a different sense. Like their social conditioning is like telling them what they should do, not how they should feel about themselves. Like it's more like process oriented. Like I should do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then my life will be happy, right? But part of it is like, you know, the falling on the sword thing, and you know, placating, and like if I do this enough, if I stab myself enough with my own sword, women are gonna love me.
Yeah,
you know.
But in reality, like, you know, the growing consensus of people who have conversations about marriage, the men are typically the ones who stray away from the idea, or have cold feet, or have like, you know, reserves about wanting to get married in the first place.
Well, because that used to be a thing back, you know, like, or you know, pre-internet, when it was like, oh, I'm gonna be having to sleep with the same woman,
yeah,
forever.
Okay,
you know what I mean? Like that was the fear. That's where the cold feet came in.
Okay,
it was like, oh, I don't know if I should commit because I could have like other options, right? And now there's so much information out there about, right? Well, there's so much information about marriage, and men are able to converse with one another on podcasts, in, you know, places like Clubhouse, YouTube, Twitter, and so on. And they're sharing information, and there's so many dudes who are just like, yeah, this sucks. Like I had this happen to me. I had this happen to me. This is what, you know, and so it's like scaring off a lot of younger guys.
But what aspects of marriage is scaring guys?
The fear of loss, both like emotional and physical.
When you say physical, what do
financial?
You mean? Okay.
Or assets.
Okay,
right?
but when you say emotional loss, I mean, technically, a woman can have emotional loss too.
Well,
no?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, men have that, and it's a consideration, right? They don't want to be that guy who, you know, has an unsatisfied wife who's sleeping with some dude on the side.
I mean, that can also happen if you're in a relationship, right?
Correct.
So specifically marriage as a whole, like the whole legal
right,
aspect.
but in a relationship, you can have an attitude. Like I have an attitude of like, I don't judge women for their behavior. Okay. Not at all.
Okay.
Like, do what you do. And I generally have this philosophy of like, treat women like cats.
What?
Yes. You treat women like cats, because what you can do is you just sit, right? If you had a cat here, the cat would be like, oh, you know what? Justin looks comfortable. And the cat would slink over here, sit on my lap. I pet the cat, they purr. And then at some point, it's going to be like, you know what? I'm going to go lie over there, or I'm going to go eat something, or I'm going to go outside.
Yeah.
And if I try to hold the cat, yes, I could, but it's not going to want to be there willingly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to begrudgingly sit there, or it'll get mad and like hiss or scratch at me. But so if you just do your thing, you know, the cat will come, it will stay, and then it will go.
Okay.
And then it will come, and then it will go.
So how does that like reflect the idea that, you know, your wife or girlfriend or whoever might leave you for somebody else? Because you just mentioned like guys fear the emotional separation.
Well, it has to do with possession and attachment.
So
right?
you don't have any possession.
I don't want to possess a woman.
So that means, okay, so are you into like open relationships?
Yes.
Okay, see, that's a whole different mindset.
It is.
Right? And that's very specific to you.
Right.
Right? So that works for someone who's accepting of that.
But for guys who are not accepting of that, women are still going to do what they're going to do.
I feel you. I feel you, right? But are you saying like the best solution is to have your mindset? Or how does somebody with
that's the best solution for me.
Right. So for a guy that wants monogamy, right? A guy that wants like to have a union with one person and build something, right? If a woman's going to do what she's going to do, what do you subscribe to that guy?
I would say do your very best, right? Because relationship, street game, easy. You can put on a charm for one night, get what you want, and the next day you can go back to being a nerd. Okay. But you get into a relationship, now your game's got to be a little bit more on point, right? You get into a long-term relationship, it's got to be even more on point.
Yeah.
You get married and you're seeing this person day in and day out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got to be top notch.
Yeah.
Your game's got to be top fucking notch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And most guys don't even spend any time developing that. They just go, well, you know, I'll just, I'll go to the gym and get a good job and that should be good enough.
That's what they sound like?
Yes. And they just think that's going to be good enough. They have a good enough. I proposed to her. Why? Yeah, that's
my issue.
You know,
that's my issue.
And it's like, no, man. Like you have to be on point. Like women, their minds they flow. They're not like straightforward, you know, and like linear the way we are. Like they flow. So where there's a stimuli, if that stimuli stops, like I'm living proof of it. Many of my clients are living proof of it. If you are unskilled and inconsistent with the stimulation, the right kind of stimulation at the right time with the right kind of mindfulness, like you have to pay attention. Yeah. You're constantly having to corral and cultivate in many different ways when you've got a wife. And it's a constant job. So you're now signing up to a job you've already got, right? Either an entrepreneur or you work for somebody else. Now you sign up for another job. And now if you want kids, that's another job or jobs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so there's like, you have to be a leader, a real leader, where you're paying attention. Like the general of an army thinks about everything. Yeah. They don't shut off. Yeah. They're not like, oh, cool. So the war's going on. I'm just going to kick my feet up.
But see, that's the thing. That's my biggest gripe with like the concept of like marriage is it's not even just a financial thing because, you know, given prenups and stuff, you can kind of circumvent that. But I think the challenge is the mindset where you get on an altar and you say words like, I'm with you no matter what. I'm giving you unconditional love, sickness and health, for good or for worse, right? That's what breeds content, right? And the idea that...
Content or contempt?
Content.
Okay.
Right? Meaning like, wherever we're at right now is what we're going to love forever. And that makes people work less towards keeping their partner the way that you were doing it when you were courting your partner, right? I feel like a long-term relationship is a constant courtship that I think is forgotten when you tie your courtship just to get married.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So to your point, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the gym or not go to the gym. Or
right.
I'm gonna, you know, be charming or not be charming. She already signed the paper, or he already signed the paper. He signed on to me. Yep. Versus no, he signed on or she signed on to the effort you were putting in. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's forgotten. And I think culturally, that's the problem that I have with like the concept of like that type of union. And a lot of people argue and say, well, that means you went with the right person. That's an easy thing to say. No. Right? But at the same time, I think
most people are lazy.
Exactly. Most people are lazy. So when you add the mechanism of this legal union, it triggers the laziness. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. I was having this exact conversation with a female, like a femininity coach, a friend of mine. She's in the UK, gorgeous, love her to death.
He loves her to death, all right.
Oh yeah, no. If she's very charming.
He loves her in a lot of ways.
Yes, I wish. I'm like, girl, if you were here, we'd have already been gone out like many times. You'd know where I live.
In other words, he would sit you on his lap and
yes. Spank her.
Okay, well, that was said.
But we were having this exact conversation because she's all like wanting like that dream marriage, that dream narrative. Like it can be real, right? And it's based on belief. Beliefs often are charged by emotions, right? That's why they say don't talk about religion or politics in a bar. Yeah. Because our beliefs are tied with our emotions. Yeah. Right? And people get upset when those beliefs are challenged. So, which is why it's important to me to be able to parse those things, you know, to like bifurcate that between your beliefs and your feelings, so you can talk about the beliefs and see if they're really fucking worth keeping around. Right? Yeah. Anyways, so we were talking about that marriage thing, and I'm just like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like there's like aside from like a couple of things, maybe a tax break, like I don't see the benefit. And, you know, it's really like what you bring to it as an individual.
Yeah.
Right. It's about the connection.
Yeah.
It's about who you are as you're stepping forward. Okay. And a lot of people, they'll get that paperwork and then they'll kick their feet up. Like, I've done the deed.
Yeah. I've done the job. I've gotten to the point where I no longer need to work.
Right. And it's like you get the job. It's like you work your butt off to make your resume such. You ace the interview. You do the interview such that you can get hired. And then it's like they give you the job and you're like, all right, cool. So like, I'm just going to go to my desk and take a nap.
Yeah. Like, and that's what happens oftentimes. But again, the argument will be, well, you picked the wrong person.
Right.
Right. You picked or
you hired the wrong employee, or they say like, well, you got the wrong job.
Yeah.
You know, get the job where it allows you to sleep.
Yeah. Like, or whatever the case may be.